Richard Rodgers with a walk-off touchdown. Total disbelief at Ford Field.
He may go all the way to the 20 down the right side, and it's Randall Cobb to the 5, to the end zone, to the touchdown. Oh my goodness.
Welcome, everyone, to the Green and Golden Boys Packers podcast, the podcast for Packer fans living inside enemy territory. I am your co-host, Charles. With me, as always, is Marcus. Marcus, how are you?
Doing well, Charles. Yourself?
I'm doing great because it is Vikings week. How you feeling?
I feel good. I mean, I think when you're a good Packers team and you live in Minnesota, there's not much better a week during the year than Packers Vikings at Lambeau Field, especially when it's going to be like 5 degrees at kickoff or whatever it is.
And we are, of course, like I mentioned at the top of the show, inside enemy territory because, as everyone knows, Marcus and I are both in Minneapolis, so this game just has a little bit extra meaning, if that can be, if there is such a thing, because we are not only playing a divisional rival, not only are we trying to secure the number 1 seed in the NFC, but all of our friends, family, or in-laws in my case, and neighbors are all Vikings fans, so it's just a little bit more special when the Packers can beat our divisional foe.
Yeah, I mean, let's not count our chickens before they hatch, but Kirk Cousins is out for this game due to COVID. Yep, you knew that. Also, Adam Thielen is on IR, obviously, with that injury. So,
yeah.
They're arguably probably their top 2 and 3 players on the team on offense are going to be out this game. So, they still have a formidable wide receiver in Justin Jefferson, although, he probably won't be as effective without Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball. Cousins has been really good this year. But, an opportunity for the Packers to come out, hopefully punch a division opponent in the mouth, get geared up for the playoffs. I think these last couple of games against, lower quality teams, and then the Bears a couple weeks before that, I don't know about you, but the way the defense is playing in particular has got me a little concerned heading into a playoff situation.
Yeah, and before we dive deeper into the defense, offense, and then for sure special teams, just big picture on this divisional rivalry. Aaron Rodgers, as we all know, had a huge accomplishment last week with passing Brett Favre with the touchdown passes. The Vikings have not been an easy out for Aaron. He is 15-10-1 since he took over as the starter. He hasn't finished all those games, as we know. He broke his collarbone in one of these games. But here's an interesting stat that you probably knew just by thinking, if you think about it. But Marcus, the Packers are 13-0 in regular season games in December and January, and they are undefeated in December and January for like the last 5 years or something like that in Lambeau. So this is going to be a special game for a number of reasons with the cold temperature and everything. But, Packers are very, very tough out historically, especially, at home in these 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, there's the mystique of Lambeau Field in the winter. And then there's just the elements to contend with. I mean, the Packers, obviously they live, in Green Bay during the season, so they're a little bit more acclimated to it. But, I mean, these Vikings, they live in Minnesota, so it's not like they're, they don't understand the cold weather. However, they are a dome team, and then, I think when you couple that with the home field advantage, the fans, Lambeau Field, the advantage is really strong at Lambeau Field. And we heard it from Aaron Rodgers these last couple of years. He always said, let's get a championship game at home because that could be a difference maker. Last year, obviously, it didn't seem to make a huge difference.
No fans,
right? That's true.
Or fewer
fans. I was going to say there were fans, but there weren't. Wasn't at full capacity. So hopefully the Packers can win this game, head into the postseason, the number 1 seed. Have this thing come through Lambeau Field, have full fans in the stands, and kind of go from there. But here, this is going to be a little bit of a preview. I think this is going to be a playoff atmosphere. The Vikings still at this point of the day, we're recording this Sunday morning. There's an off chance that they could make the playoffs if they win out and a couple teams lose. So this is a team that's going to give you their best, regardless of who's playing quarterback.
Yep, 100%. Well, let's dive into those injuries that you were mentioning already. Kirk Cousins out due to COVID. Obviously, whenever we're talking about COVID, hopefully he's doing fine and it's not a big deal. He just has the sniffles and as a person, he's back okay. And then Adam Thielen re-injuring his ankle, I believe it was, and on IR. You mentioned these two things already. As if you look at it from a game perspective, obviously the Packers want to win out, and having their guys not playing just helps us. It's kind of a bummer though, right? It's a Sunday night nationally televised game, and we got something called Sean Mannion running out onto the field for the Vikings. As a football fan, as the NFL, I mean, they got to be a little disappointed. Theoretically, this game is a lot tougher to win for the Vikings, and as a fan of the game, I'm just kind of bummed to see, not their best going out on the field tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially this time of year, you want to have, your opponent's best shot, and certainly come playoff time, you're going to get that. And like I said, the Vikings, regardless of who's playing quarterback, are going to try to do their best to win this game. To that point, though, like this Vikings team tends to run through Delvin Cook. I mean, as good and efficient as Cousins has been this year, when they win and when they put up big points is when they've got their running game going. And, by all accounts, Delvin Cook will play today. He's the guy that we have to stop. But, yeah, I mean, a little bit disappointing that we're not going to see Kirk Cousins. That's always a fun battle, him versus Rodgers. So disappointing, but, still I think is going to be a pretty fun game to watch.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Something to keep in mind, though, on Delvin Cook is he's just a week coming off of the COVID IR list. He missed the game last week against the Rams, Vikings versus Rams. So, he'll probably be in top condition, but we might see they're a very good 1-2 punch with Alexander Madison as well. I think Delvin Cook has a harder job now that Kirk is out, because the Vikings very much, run to set up the pass, if you will. And if there isn't as much of a threat in that passing game, why wouldn't the Packers just set up 8 in the box and just dare Sean Mannion to beat us? I mean, and Mannion, excuse me. And if he does, if the miracle happens and he just goes wild, and and can throws on this Packers defense. A, let's make adjustments at half, but B, more power to him, and we're not out of the playoffs by any means. I mean, we're not to our keys to success yet, but, we can't let Delvin Cook beat us, because that's one of two ways that the Vikings can beat us, and the other ways are freak turnovers on special teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, if you're going to pick a poison, you're gonna stop Delvin Cook and then see if Sean Mannion can beat you over the top. But we've seen these last couple of weeks against the Ravens, against the Browns, and against Chicago, and then Minnesota before that. We had some trouble stopping the pass. Our secondary was playing really, really deep and kind of giving everything underneath to these teams. And to your point, trying to adjust at halftime, we haven't seen those adjustments. If anything, I feel like we've seen softer coverage coming out in the second half. So. Again, a game that if the Vikings pass game gets going, we need to start seeing an answer from Joe Barry in this defense. Otherwise, a lot of people are going to be scratching their heads.
Because they had, if Sean Mannion is feeling himself, they got the receiver, to do some serious damage against us. I mean, we saw it, back in November. Justin Jefferson. 8 receptions for almost 200 yards, 170 yards last time that Eric Stokes matched up against Justin, and with Jair Alexander not being back this week yet, that's something to watch. Again, I'm not concerned about it. If Sean throws a few 50-50 balls and Jefferson wins 1 or 2, I wouldn't be surprised. But if all of a sudden they start clicking, that's something that we need to adjust to and not play, too soft of coverage.
Yeah, for sure. And let's shift gears here a little bit. We talked about, Delvin Cook coming off the COVID list, Kirk Cousins on the COVID list. I think you probably saw this article come out, but the Packers luckily were able to activate several players off the COVID list this week, including our punter Corey Bojorquez, which I think a lot of us were a little concerned about, especially given the play of our special teams group this year. But Corey Bojorquez is going to play, as is Ben Braden, Oren Burks, Tyler Davis, Mercedes Lewis, and Ty Summers. So we'll see. how these guys kind of bounce back. Hopefully they're all, like you said about Kirk Cousins, that it was just maybe protocol and they're all okay and healthy. But really glad to see Bojorquez and Mercedes Lewis back and active for game day.
Oh, man. I mean, obviously Mercedes Lewis, we all love it when he catches the ball and, manhandles a few guys going down the sideline. Like he seems to have at least one a game or every other game. But, people a lot smarter than me tell me that, he's almost invaluable on that edge rush. He's doing a lot of the stuff that, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon get credit for, and he doesn't, right? Because he's setting those nice blocks and really helping setting up that run game and pass protection. So huge win there. And then enough said on special teams. I mean, to throw out a punter that doesn't punt much in, feels like negative 20-degree weather, which it might be tonight, I think we would have gone for it on anything. On any fourth downs, outside of our own 30, I think we probably would have been going for it, and if we didn't have our punter with us tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And then watch that just work really well. But,
I know, right?
Well, okay, but we don't have to worry about that, so that's good. A couple things I want to talk about are obviously you mentioned keys to success. So let's talk a little bit about that. What do these Packers have to do to win this game today against the Vikings?
They have to stop the run. They have to stop, Delvin Cook, of course, and let Sean Mannion. Jeez, I'm having a hard time with his name. Let Sean Mannion.
Manshanian.
Let him beat us, right? And if he does, then great. That'll stink, and we'll hear it from our Vikings friends. But it's just knock on wood, not going to happen. So sell out on the run, and don't let him beat us. Offensively, honestly, I'm not anticipating a huge Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams game, right? I mean, think Tennessee Titans last year, where we all kind of realized what we had in A.J. Dillon. And this actually sets up a fantasy football question of mine. The key to success is through Aaron Jones and through A.J. Dillon. And I got A.J. Dillon on my bench right now for my fantasy football league that I'm in, and I'm very, very seriously considering putting him in because I think this might be a very run-heavy day just with the elements. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's going to be really cold. We're going to want to get the run game going. We always tend to see Aaron Jones carrying the bulk in the first or second quarter, and then after the defense is maybe a little bit worn down, we'll see AJ Dillon get heavier carries towards the end of the game to kind of pound through that line and through the the linebacker core. But I heard Peter Bukowski say he'd like to see AJ Dillon get the carries right off the bat. Have him ground and pound right away. Have him really kind of punish that defense, and then open that up for Aaron Jones. So I mean, I think today is a good day to get AJ Dillon off your bench and starting in your lineup because especially when we get into the red zone, and if the passing game for whatever reason isn't working, or we know AJ Dillon can kind of fall forward for 3 or 4 yards. So I expect to have him at least one touchdown in the red zone today. So I think good opportunity to play him.
Well, hell yeah, let's put him in.
Brother.
I assume you agree with me with my keys to success, but what thoughts do you have? What do we have to do offensively, defensively to make sure that we don't see the upset of the year tonight in Lambeau?
Last year, and this is again another thing I heard Peter Bukowski say, but we all, we watched last season and compared to this season, our offense is just slow to start. I mean, last year our offense was, I think it led the league in first quarter points or first drive touchdowns or whatever it was. This year we just can't seem to get going until the second quarter. I think our offense needs to get off to a fast start, get up by a double-digit lead, make this Vikings offense chase you. Don't give them an opportunity like we did against the Ravens and the Browns. I mean, we were up double digits against both those teams, and we let them back in it. So I would say get off to a fast start and then step on their throat. Like, we need to ratchet this offense up a little bit. We can't just be stagnant in the third and fourth quarter and have all these games coming down to the last final drive, and trying to stop them while they're coming down.